Hello everyone, this is Gary Hornby here, coming to you from Trinity College, Cambridge, where I'm here for 6 weeks as a Rutherford Scholar to sort of catch up on research in education, do some writing, and just do some big thinking while I'm here. So, Trinity College, Cambridge, this is the perfect place to start a course on research, quantitative research methods in education, because Trinity was in a way a big part in laying the foundations for scientific research worldwide. And Trinity was set up in 1546 by Henry VIII, but then has had a whole succession of scholars who've been scientists and promoted the scientific approach. And perhaps the best known ones are William Gilbert, who did work on magnetism, and then Francis Bacon, who was a sort of philosopher, scientist. And then, of course, the most famous one is Sir Isaac Newton, who was based here for many years at Trinity College. And as you know, Isaac Newton, famous for developing his theory of light and understanding of the behavior of light and the splitting of white light into colours, his theory of gravitation, and also he invented calculus. So it's mostly fantastic work, besides the Newton's laws of motion and all that kind of stuff. Now, I was privileged just today to go over to the Wren Library, the library designed by Sir Christopher Wren, who designed St Paul's Cathedral. And in the Wren Library you can see the book Principia, which is Newton's first edition of his book, with a lot of his theories in it. And it has been referred to as probably the most important book on science ever written. So yeah, huge tradition here, followed up in more recent times by our own Sir Lord Ernest Rutherford, who was a man from Nelson and who did some work at Canterbury University in the old, what's now the Arts Centre, and then he came to Cambridge for a few years, then went on to McGill University and Manchester University and back to Cambridge. And so he's been associated with Trinity College here, which is why we've got this Rutherford Scholar scheme, which is so marvellous really, to allow people to come for a few weeks and just work here in this wonderful, stimulating atmosphere. One of the things that they've made available to me here is this room. I can use the Vajani room. This has been here, it says on the wall, it's been unchanged for virtually 600 years and was established originally to attract Francis Vajani to become a chemistry professor here. So it was set up as a laboratory. And it's now very comfortable. As you can see, it's got nice chairs and various things, including, you can see behind me here, there's the cloaks that you put on, the academic dress to go to dinner. And if you just see on the next to the cloaks there's a sherry decanter, and there's all there to set the right sort of atmosphere to sort of study and to think and to make big thoughts. So I'm finding it very, very helpful. Anyway, so why then Trinity College and research methods? Well, because Trinity's promoted the scientist approach within, scientist practitioner approach, if you like, within science. This wasn't always the case. We didn't always have this view that you needed to get hypotheses and do research and collect data. We believe it's important. John Everett and I love teaching this course because we believe it's so important in terms of improving what goes on in education. And but that wasn't always the case in education, and it's certainly not always been the case in physics. And while I've been here, I actually discovered in this room the other day this book by John Gribben called The Fellowship, and it retraces the scientific progress, if you like, that's led us to where we are today. And the role of Trinity College in that comes up pretty strongly. Basically, it goes back to Aristotle's day, 4th century BC, where Aristotle believed you didn't need to do experiments, you didn't need to do research, you just needed to think and to talk and discuss and work out what was right. And for about 1,000 years, Aristotle's ideas actually held force until the Renaissance in Europe, and then came into England, where people started to challenge these ideas. And it wasn't easy. People were burnt at the stake for opposing the sort of ideas that Aristotle had and the church had. And people had to be very careful. Newton himself had to be very careful. Some of his views, his religious views, he couldn't make those public because they contradicted the sort of rules of Trinity College. It's all very, very sort of interesting. But, you know, so it's not been an easy road, but it has been developed, helped to develop the scientific practitioner approach over the years in physics. And physics has been going for about 600 years. Psychology has been going for about 100 years. And then education less than 100 years really, or probably about the same, but we're less well developed, I think. But the same sort of issues apply. This issue that Newton and Galileo had to cope with, opposing the Aristotelian views that you didn't need to do experiments. Aristotle believed firmly that heavier objects fell faster than lighter objects, and he postulated that, based on his theory, it's postulated that a 10-kilogram cannonball would fall 10 times faster than a 1-kilogram cannonball. So Galileo went out and did some research. He did an experiment. Well, supposedly, it's said that he dropped cannonballs from the Tower of Pisa, where he lived. He worked at the University of Pisa for a while. Of course, what he found was that the 10-kilogram ball and the 1-kilogram ball fell at the same time, fell at the same rate. So Aristotle was wrong. But that didn't, same as education, that didn't convince everybody. People didn't all turn around immediately and say, oh yeah, let's throw out those ideas. Oh no. For a couple of 100 years, people had to battle to get accepted that you need to have hypotheses, you need to do research, you need to collect data, you need to test your hypotheses. So in physics, that was a battle for a couple of 100 years, and the book I've been reading sort of goes through all that. Well, and the same in education, that there's people in education that believe you really don't need to do research. You really just need to discuss. You need to think about things. But there's other people that believe that we should have a scientist practitioner approach. We should base our practice on evidence, research evidence of what works. And so we need to do research. And in particular, John Everett and I believe that you need to do quantitative research, not entirely. There's a role for ethnographic research, there's a role for qualitative research, but you need to do research. And the most powerful in terms of determining what works and what doesn't work, I believe, is quantitative research methods. So yeah, that's the rationale for the course that we've got. As I say, it has come through psychology, because if you look, you've got Carl Rogers. Was a psychologist who in the 1950s did research on what are the qualities of effective interpersonal relationships. And he did research on this. He did research studies. And he came up with Rogers' triad, which is the 3 most important variables based on his research evidence for making relationships effective. And these are genuineness, respect, and empathy. And that runs through a lot of, that's influenced the psychology field tremendously. And the same way that Skinner and all his research on behavioural matters with rats and pigeons and all that sort of stuff, and latter day with people, has influenced applied behaviour analysis, and we now have functional behaviour analysis and positive behaviour information support, which are in school implementing the ideas based on research. So we believe that it's very important to have this scientist practitioner approach. So with that excitement, we're trying to get these ideas across in this course, and this is the introductory session for it. So hopefully set within a solid basis of the history of the development of research and education. So in our course then, I must mention that I've put on the website just below this video the article on implementing evidence-based practice in education, because that's where we've got to in education. We realise that now if we use interventions in education that have solid research basis, solid research evidence for their effectiveness, we're likely to get more better results, both academically and socially. And so we have people like Bob Slavin, Johns Hopkins University, and John Hattie, who is now at Melbourne University, really promoting the use of evidence-based practice. But it's not easy, the same as with physics. There's other people that don't agree, that think that no, really, we really need reflective practitioners who just think about their practice and try and improve. But that's in opposition to people who are scientists, practitioners who believe you have to do research. And so it's a continual battle, and so we'd like you to take part in that battle and do a little bit of research as part of this course. So we'd like to give you the background to do that in the sessions that will follow. So we've designed 12 sessions. This is the first one, which is your introduction and overview. And there are 12 sessions altogether. Next week it's literature reviews. And then we do survey research, experimental research, correlational research, mixed methods research, single subject design research. And we also discuss issues in quantitative research such as reliability and validity tests and measurements and ethics. So over the 12 weeks you'll get a pretty good sample to set you up to do some quantitative research in education. And the assessment of the course is focused on that. You've got 2 assignments. One is the final course assessment is a test of all the content of all those 12 sessions. There's 2 questions from each session, approximately about 25 questions, and so there'll be 2 issues each week to sort of identify these are the important things to focus on, and you'll have a short answer test at the end of the course on it. The other assignment is a proposal, a research proposal, and this will help you set up to do some research. Perhaps if you're going to do a thesis next, it will set it all up for you. So you'll see details of those assignments on the web page. There's a course information introduction, and then there's information about the assessments. So how are you going to study this course? Well, first of all, you've listened to the video. Hopefully this has got you excited, stimulated about doing some reading and research in this area. So after you've seen the video, I suggest you have a look at the material in the chapters by Cohen. The textbook is by Cohen et al. It's a very good book, very thorough book, and I've recommended, I think, 2 chapters there. Is it 5 and 6 or 6 and 7? I can't remember. It's sort of below where the video is placed. So study those chapters, and I've also given summaries of the PowerPoint presentations for those from those chapters is actually on the website as well. And I've provided you with a paper on evidence-based practice in education that was published last year on implementing evidence-based practice. So that's there as well. And as well as that, each week we're going to give examples of the kind of quantitative research that John Everett and myself and our postgrad students have been involved in doing. And so each week you'll have an example, and this week I think the example is one of my postgrad students, Weiping Ning from China, who did quantitative research on the use of cooperative learning in English language teaching in China. And you can see the methodology she used and the type of analysis she used and all that kind of stuff, which she did for her PhD, which she passed with flying colours and now written up as articles. Yeah, so that's the general format for the course. So you've got quite a bit of reading to do and thinking to do before next week, but we encourage you to work hard, and look forward to having discussions with you either face-to-face, if you can come along to class with John and myself, or on the discussion forum on the website. You can ask questions and pose questions which can be answered by other students or myself. I shall certainly be working very hard here in Cambridge and doing my writing and my research, but I'll be enjoying myself as well, and I hope you do too. Thank you very much. See you. Bye-bye.